Hey guys, this is Lisa from NYC Gal Outs. Welcome back to my channel. We are recapping Real Housewives of Orange County Season 18. The ladies are on their cash trip to London, and the first ones at the airport is Heather and Katie. And it was like a little awkward. I really don't know why they don't like each other. I mean, is Heather snotty? Maybe. Maybe she comes off as like kind of snobbish. But I also feel that Katie made a little bit too big of a deal about what transpired. You know, she felt that she was personally snubbed by Heather. And I think that once you feel that way, you know, you're just always questioning everybody's motive. Like she felt like Heather at Sutton's Christmas party was purposely ignoring her. And because of that, you know, I'm sure that everything that Heather does from then on, she's going to always question, well, was she doing that to like purposely do it or whatever? But in Katie's defense, though, Heather does seem kind of snobbish and stuck up. Even in her confessional, she says a couple of shady things about Katie, specifically in this latest episode when Katie was talking about being adopted and she's going back to South Korea to meet her biological mom. And Heather was asked by a producer a question and she said something like, well, I found Katie's story very interesting, even if I don't find Katie interesting. So, you know, it's little stuff like that. But look, they both do it to each other. So to be fair, they both do it to each other. Katie says shady things about Heather in the confessionals also. And I don't think that their relationship would have gotten to where it had gotten if Tamra wasn't in Katie's ears. But then because Tamra kept on bringing it up with Katie and Gina, she was like trying to make something into it. You're not being paid to be a producer. You're being paid to be a talent. And I think the problem with people like Tamra and Margaret over there in New Jersey is that they think that their job is secure if they try to produce the show. But no, because the way that those kind of cast members come across is like you don't have a storyline. How the viewers at home see it, they don't see you as being a producer because you know why? You are not a producer. You are a talent. So the viewers at home, the number question is always, what the fuck is your storyline? Because legit, your storyline is not to be a producer. Your storyline is to show your life. This is supposed to be a reality show about extravagant lifestyles of whatever. And so I felt like Katie and Heather, they could have probably moved past whatever BS they had, if not for the fact that Tamra kept trying to push some sort of dilemma between the two of them. Shannon, she gifted everyone very lovely scarves that was very generous and everything, and also bucket hats with like the UK flag on it that nobody seemed to want to wear. Their first event was they went on like some sail boating in the Thames River. It didn't look that much fun. I mean, I don't know if they enjoyed themselves, but like most of the ladies were like, oh my God, I'm about to throw up, or oh my God, get me the hell out of this. So I don't know how much fun they thought they were going to have, but you know, they didn't seem to have that much fun. Now, how they did the rooms was actually very smart. Nobody could really complain. And what they did was they put everybody's car keys into a bowl and then you just picked from that bowl. So, you know, you got whatever room you got, but all of the rooms were lovely. They were all gorgeous. As you know, Alexis did not get invited to this cash trip. She could have if the producers really wanted to, because look, you know, it is what it is. She's not a full-time cast member, but she is a friend of, she does have a filming contract. So she would have been invited onto the cash trip if they wanted to film her. I'm sure Shannon is like, look, I'll suffer through what I need to suffer, but, you know, I'm not going to make it more unnecessary than it is. And whereas she doesn't really have control if the other ladies are hosting an event and, you know, if it's a full cast, whatever, and they both need to be there. As the hostess of this cash trip, you know, she gets to be the one that plans it and whatever else. So she didn't want to invite Alexis, and I'm sure that they didn't push it to happen, because we do see when, you know, when they really want somebody there, they will push it to make it happen. Case in point, Meredith over there in Salt Lake City, she did not invite Angie. And so what did producers do? Producers told Whitney to bring Angie as her +1. So again, if the producers really wanted her to be there, she would have been there. You know, Shannon's kind of like on her breaking point. She's got so much going on. She's got the DUI. And again, it must be very hard to have cameras in your face when your boyfriend's current girlfriend is now filming with you. So I'm sure they're also very well aware of that part. So I felt like Tamra is very immature and obnoxious. I thought she was like really obnoxious when the ladies got to London. she was like really obnoxious with like trying to embarrass Shannon. I know the other ladies were also doing a little bantering about, oh, Shannon's 60 years old. We're going to try to hook her up. We're going to try to get her a man. But Tamara, her obnoxiousness was like to another level. In one of the episodes, Gina says something like she felt like Emily and Tamara are kind of like competing with each other on who is the loudest, biggest asshole. And in this episode, I did kind of feel that way because those two were like a little bit too, I don't know, immature. They thought that they were being funny, but no, they were just being like irritating and annoying. They thought that it was like cute little bantering, but they just came off as like annoying Americans. Like Europeans think Americans are so rude, obnoxious, loud, and annoying. They were like the very definition of all the stereotypes that Americans get from Europeans. So in London, while they're having dinner for the first night, everything starts off pretty good. But then Heather and Tamara, they're being messy. This is like the stupidest stuff because it doesn't even involve them. And they're trying to make something out of nothing. I don't know why. Tamara goes to Heather and says, did you hear that Shannon was on the Jeff Lewis podcast and whatever? The ladies are trying to make something out of what Shannon says. But I kind of felt like they're putting more into it than necessary. I felt like Shannon was trying to be as vague as possible with her answers, and Heather and Tamara were trying to read more into it because they wanted to read more into it. So what kind of like got their panties in a wedgie? Shannon has said to Heather that I got into a car accident and John Jansen didn't go out immediately to see if she was okay or whatever, that he didn't even acknowledge it. And she doesn't even know if he heard the car accident or not. Now, when she was on the Jeff Lewis podcast, she says, I don't know if he heard the car crash or not. It wasn't something that I really thought about. And they're basically hanging everything on the fact that she said, it wasn't something that I really thought about. And Heather's like going, oh my God, I feel so used. I felt like she was using me to try to get that info out there. Like, girl, what info was she trying to get you to put out there, whether or not he heard the car crash? I mean, that's really not like the breaking point. I mean, she's trying to make it sound as if Shannon was like, oh my God, John Jansen gave me the black eye. He heard the car crash or not. And then her saying, it wasn't something that I really thought about. Like, they're trying to inflate it into something as if she had accused him of like being behind the wheel. And it's just, I'm just trying to make sense of like where they're going with this narrative. I mean, is it because Heather has like jack shit going on? I mean, she had Terry's nose job, but that took all of like 10 seconds. So I don't know. And, now she had all the ladies go to get a mammogram. Everybody turned out fine. Jen was worried that she felt a lump. It turned out to be nothing, just something from the surgery, her breast implant surgery. Gina was a little bit worried, but her sonogram, ultrasound, whatever it was that she did for her monogram, it came out fine. I will say this about Heather. I did feel that it was a little fucked up that nobody asked Heather directly, how did your exam go? So I did notice that, and she did point that out. And then, at the dinner in London, when the ladies were talking about it, she did bring that up, and she said she felt very upset and she was hurt about it. And she was very valid in being upset because I did notice that. So I totally understood how she felt with that. Katie started talking about her adoption because the ladies were talking about the mammograms, and she said, that is like always one of the biggest concern about mine is that I have no medical history. I don't know what my family medical history is. And she said, but she was able to locate her birth mother in Korea, and her birth mother is only 15 years older than her. She was working in a factory or something, and she wasn't able to take care of her, so she put her up for adoption, and that the birth mother is, married now with children and everything. And she said, but her main goal, because when she thinks about being an adopted child, she feels that, as a mother, that she would want to know if the baby that she gave up, if the baby had a good life and all this other stuff. And she said, her goal in meeting her birth mother is just to let her mom know that, hey, I turned out okay. She could have some sense of peace knowing that she did the right thing, that the daughter that she gave up, had a really good life, that she was loved, that she was taken care of, and that, she turned out okay. I do think that if you are giving up a child, that is probably something that you do want to know, like, how did my baby turn out? I hope that she didn't go to like a home that was abusive or whatever, like, because you never know. Now, the kind of like crappy part of the episode, because I legit I'm so sick of the freaking Shannon, John Jansen, Alexis bullshit. It's Tamara who keeps on trying to cause these dilemmas and these conflicts to happen because she has nothing going on. So she's trying to revive all of these conflicts with her cast members to make them have something to focus on. Anyway, so she brings up like the whole Jeff Lewis bullshit. Heather gets herself all worked up. Tamara is like trying to egg it on, and Shannon gets very upset. And then Shannon, she gets up and Tamara starts laughing, and it's like an obnoxious laugh. She laughed at Shannon, and it was like such a fake, pretentious laugh. She's like, oh, you look like you were behind jail because of whatever. She was standing behind some weird ass looking strobe lights or whatever that it had bars. And she was saying that because of that, it made Shannon look like she was that she was in jail. But she was also doing that to be shady because of Shannon's DUI. Now, Gina goes to comfort Shannon, and Shannon shares with Gina that, you know how Alexis is telling everyone that she had nothing to do with the lawsuit with Jim Bellino suing Tamara and Shannon, and that she kept on saying that they were already divorced for 6 months and everything. And Shannon tells Gina, well, when I sent Alexis that text message telling her that she's not invited to this cash trip, I entered her number back onto my phone. And she said, but when I did that, when I re-enter her name into the number, I actually found all of the old text messages that I used to have. She pulled up a text message from, I don't even freaking know when, like 2018 or something. And she was like, look at my phone. And Gina reads it, and Alexis is basically speaking as if they're both suing them. She's like, we are going to our lawyer and all this other stuff. So, and also in this episode, Jen was very sympathetic to Shannon. And Jen was just like, what the fuck are these two doing? Like, why are they trying to make such a big deal out of this? Like, yes, Jen, I am in total agreement with you. Like, they're trying to make it more than what it is. Because I felt like when Katie was telling Tamara, like, Tamara, you were being really calm, I felt like Katie was kissing Tamara's ass a little bit. Maybe she felt like, you know, Tamara is the person that she needs to align herself with. But no, girl, she will throw you to the freaking wolves as fast as she can. If it means something for her, or even if it means nothing for her, she will throw everybody and anybody under the bus. If Katie thinks that that is the alliance that she needs to make, she's in for a rude awakening. That was basically the first episode of London, guys. Like, I am not really feeling this season because the two ladies that are carrying this whole entire fucking season, I feel like, is Shannon and Jen. I feel like the other ladies, they need to actually put in the work. You're cashing the paychecks, you need to put in the work. I mean, like, fuck, at this point, I'd rather they fire Tamara again and bring in Alexis, because at least Alexis is contributing. Like, Tamara is not contributing jack shit. Anyway, what did you guys think of Alexis, even though she's a friend of, and, you know, she hasn't been in every single episode, because some friends out there are like in every single fucking episode, but she's only been on a few of the episodes. She still gets a chair at the reunion. And what do you think? She's sitting across from Katie. But let me know what you guys thought of the episode. Did you enjoy their first episode in London? I felt it was very lackluster and that they were probably told that they needed to bring it. Did you guys feel the same way, or did you feel different? Let me know. Don't forget to hit the like, follow, subscribe, leave me a comment and all that good jazz. All right, guys, I'll check you out later. Bye.